Hello everyone and welcome to TEG Talks. Today my lovely guest is Kate from KW Creatives. Hello Kate.
Hi Rachel.
Thank you for being here today.
It's a pleasure, lovely to be here.
So, because I'm quite nosy, who's Kate? Tell me about Kate in a nutshell and how you started your business and what is your business?
So I'm Kate Wilson and I set up my own business or new business, KW Creatives, last year. I'm probably first and foremost a mum, and having worked in the corporate world for a long time, I've now created new business around being mum and my work, my love for what I'm doing as well.
And we've got a couple of pieces here today, haven't we, which you avid viewers amongst us, sorry you audio listeners, I'll try and explain it so you can visualise these pieces as well. We've got some lovely, should we call it landscape, feature photography, some prints, mugs, coasters, greetings cards, and they feature your hometown, which is?
They do, which is Whitehaven and St Bees.
Yes, and they're gorgeous, very colourful. And I believe this kind of, how do we word it, grew from the pandemic.
Yes, it did. Just as a little bit of background, having worked in the corporate world, I then, my husband's actually Cumbrian. We moved up here when I was pregnant. And after a few years of being mainly mum, doing another couple of small jobs, I then set up my main business as it was then 10 years ago, which was web design and marketing communications. And then during the pandemic, when obviously we had very different circumstances, I worked really hard on, or I really enjoyed getting out, because we had the luxury of space around us in St Bees and so on, getting out and practicing my photography. So it was kind of the pandemic that allowed me to focus a bit more on my photography. And then I started developing that into what you see here, which is photography with a bit of a digital art twist to it. And so that's what I'm now doing, is I now create what I still hesitate to call art, but is photographic art, I think is the best description of my favourite places and my favourite animals and my favourite flowers.
Well, art's always going to be subjective.
Yes.
So, but it's a talking point.
Absolutely.
Which brings me on to, you're very talkative. Kate is one of my mentees and we've met a few times, and I always look forward to meeting Kate because we always have a giggle. And we do make progress.
We certainly do. So
much so that Kate is one of our regulars on the TEG market in Whitehaven. So how did you find out about TEG? How did you get involved?
Okay, so with TEG, I was at, it was a perfect moment really where I was at quite a low point with what I was doing, in that I was developing this photographic art. I knew that I wanted to take it forward, but I also felt a bit of a fraud. I didn't know what I was doing with it.
The old imposter
syndrome.
It was
absolutely the old imposter syndrome. I kept on thinking, who am I to be doing this? And I met Jenny, and I met Keith before, and was chatting to them, heard all about TEG. And in fact, Jenny was presenting at the Beck BC meeting, talking about TEG and about support for the entrepreneurs market. And at first I kind of wrote myself off because I thought I was either perhaps too old almost to be doing this kind of thing and to be trying to restart a different type of business. But Jenny and the whole TEG team was so encouraging about what the opportunities were for exploring business bit by bit. Mm-hmm. So I heard about the markets, and after Jenny, I think we had a long chat at the Beck BC showcase, which was my first time actually displaying any of my work publicly. And Jenny persuaded me quite strongly that it would be a really good idea to have a stall on the market. And so I did, and I loved it, and I'll be grateful always for that, because that's where I started to see this turning into something.
And the markets and the face-to-face interaction with customers is invaluable, as we both know. I can speak from experience as well. Have you, or maybe I should word it differently, what do you get out of that? what gives you the kick on a Saturday? Stood there for 9 hours in the rain, hail or shine, with your work.
It gives something that I never knew it would, which is because just going back to that feeling of, oh my goodness, am I actually trying to do this thing? It's when you talk to people and you see people's response to what you're doing and you have a good crack with them.
Mm-hmm.
And you realise also, so it's the feeling of actually talking to the people who might be your customer, and then that extraordinary feeling of when you make your first sale.
Yeah.
When you make your second, third sale, and you're going, oh, and people are walking past, and you'll get someone who'll go, I'm not paying that for that, or
we've all been there.
and you question your values and all the rest of it. But that buzz of talking to people, and then someone saying, oh, I've got a favourite view. Could you get a photo for me of my favourite view? Or I've got a favourite photo. Could you do something with that to make it a little bit different? So it's that buzz of being directly in front of the customer.
Yeah. And I think it's a little bit different to having a retail shop, because I suppose I've never had a shop, but I've done pop-ups and things, and people are coming in because they're genuinely interested. It's the same at a market, but you're competing, aren't you, all the time as well, because you've got, I know when I've done shows, you might have somebody who's similar to you over there, but you're like, how can I stand out? How can I stand out? And I know we've had conversations and little ideas about how you're going to stand out, and we've got things in the pipeline. Do you want to share a bit of a spoiler for us?
Well, you've helped me come up and have the confidence to take forward a couple of ideas, which is one of the things that came out on the market is some of the things I might be doing are quite similar to someone else on a stall, and that's fine and that's great, and we've both got our different talents and so on. But one of the things that you'd mentioned to me and then was echoed on the market was how much, say, the boat owners on the harbour love to see their boats in my pictures.
Yeah. Oh, that's mine.
Yeah, so it's either a fishing boat or it's a yacht or whatever it might be. And so many people started saying that. And you'd already suggested to me, well, why don't you do, sort of bespoke pictures
boat
for
portraits.
People? and either do something like you could be on a stall at one of the big events like Whitehaven Alive, maybe, and you could actually be offering that to people. So it's about finding the things that can take the business forward in a way that doesn't compete with other people.
It's carving out your niche, isn't it? And that can be, some people stumble upon it and you're like, oh my word. It's like a light bulb moment.
Yeah.
Other people, other businesses, you've got to work and graft to find it. And we were talking about it in a different episode, where that's the excitement of the journey and the exploration and watching things grow and things like that.
And taking the hitbacks as well, learning.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. Not everything's rosy all the time. There's not every day you're watching your bank balance go, woo. There is the highs and the lows. So I suppose that leads us on to what's been the low. Has there been a low point yet?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I would say 6 months ago, because I'd already started my own business 10 years ago, which ticks along quite nicely, doing websites, which I love doing, but isn't my sort of beating heart. I then got so excited about doing this hobby into a business of my photographic art. But about 6 months ago, I started just feeling, my anxiety was through the roof, because I kept on thinking, who am I to be doing this when there's so many other talented people out there? What is the thing that differentiates me from anyone else? How do I how have I got time to set up all the things as a one-person band that I need to do? And I nearly gave up. And genuinely, I think it was, I can't remember exactly when the meeting was, that I saw Jenny talking, and knowing that I could then talk to someone, and even if I did decide to not pursue it after that, to know I did it with a bit of knowledge. I felt very lonely in the business at that point. So the low, I think, was that, but it led into a high of when you start to realise, with that interaction, talking to people who know more than I do about trading and talking to customers direct, finding there is something there.
Yeah, because not a lot of people talk about the lonely side of being self-employed. It's isolating.
Oh,
If you're working on your own, I know there's sometimes my other half laughs at me and I'll say, the only person I've spoke to today is the dog.
Yeah, absolutely. My dog
And,
gets talked
you
to a
know,
lot.
like, I'm like, Harry, what do you think? But it's, you know, when I meet you guys, when we're mentoring, we're having a good crack.
We have a good laugh. Yeah.
You know, and it's that interaction with other creative people and creative brains when they get together.
Yes.
And then it blossoms, and
the ideas that spark from that.
It excites me, and then I look at my business and go, well, you've just given loads of advice to somebody else, so I kind of do it myself.
But that's the whole thing, is if you're doing it in isolation, so then when you give me some input, or Jenny or anyone makes those suggestions, I feel brave enough to try them. And the one thing that I think I didn't realise was there is some financial outlay that you make when you do this, to buy the banners, to buy you know, the hanging banner, the roll-up banner, to buy a little bit of stock to test out. You do not get that back quickly. And I think one of the things that I've learned, and this is the low that I sort of got over, is the fact, don't expect for everything to turn around immediately. Once you start being realistic.
Yeah. You've got to have a word with yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, you do. And, you know, I work hard on other more traditional parts of my business to be able to experiment a little bit. And that's what's starting to create the highs when you actually get the sales, because people are now starting to see, I've got enough examples now for people to see what I'm doing. And because I'm doing a lot of my work is based around the place that I love the most, which is here, you know, Whitehaven, St Bees, the west coast of Cumbria, I feel a responsibility that I want to make this work.
Yeah.
And I think with the support I'm getting, I start to think maybe also the low is coming up to a high now.
Yeah, and you've mentioned that you took part in an event at Energis, which had a good outcome.
Yes. Yes, it did.
Because that adds I can see your face just lights up now. So that's the opposite to the lows are the highs. Yes. And you said to me one of your most recent highs, apart from the other weekend, was that event. So can you tell me what happened? Tell our listeners and viewers.
Yeah. So obviously, when, you know, starting out, probably quite a lot of the smaller purchases are friends and family, and then word of mouth, and you get lovely sales, and they all mean a lot, and I'm grateful for everyone. When I went to do the BC Business Showcase, I had ordered some stock, some of which came, which was wonderful. And, you know, people were interested, and that was great, lovely conversations with people. But at the end, a box arrived right at the end of the event that had the thing I love the most, which is my boxed, really beautifully framed prints. And Sean from Energis happened to be having a crack with me while I just went, I might as well just have a look and see what's in the box. And it sparked a whole new conversation, which resulted ultimately in, because he loved what he saw, that was my first corporate sale. And the confidence it gets, the joy, honestly, it makes me feel a bit emotional. I'm daft as a brush, but the joy, like going in and seeing my work on someone else's wall.
Yeah, I did that.
And it's like little old me.
Yeah.
You know, at 15, starting something that I love doing and feeling that, so it felt like the business had changed a bit then.
Yeah.
Not that that I love my sales of anything that I do. I love creating for the market. I love diversifying the range into some of the slightly nuttier things that I do, like the sunglasses. But to have some corporate interest, I really want to pursue that further, and that's developing now, and commissions, and, you know.
That leads me quite nicely on to my next question was, where do you see Kate and KW Creatives going in the future? Is it multiple avenues? You can say what you want, really, because it doesn't matter.
But I think you've got to know me well enough to know that I'm not I don't go in a very linear direction. I would like to go more in a linear direction. I'd like to be a little less chaotic, if I'm absolutely brutally honest. But it's part of who I am, and I and I get what I want to do done generally, but not always in the order. It's a bit like that thing Andrew Previn with the notes and Morecambe and Wise. But what I think is I'm learning now that what I thought was going to be the next stage of the business isn't necessarily where I'm being taken. Mm-hmm. So I think what I see is I think that the market for commissions, for people to have a piece of art, whether it's something I've already taken a photograph of that they'd like styled in a certain way, or they want me to get the photo of a place that they love. I did one for the hospital for a retiring consultant recently, mm-hmm. where he loved a view of the hospital with Angler's Crag and so on. I went and got the photo, and then I created that piece of art. I think that's where quite a big part of the future of the business lies, if I'm going to make it a properly successful.
Oh, you are going to make it. There's no ifs. There's no ifs. You're not allowed to say if on this show.
I always remember that thing that I read very early on when I was starting my new business, which was something by Richard Branson, where it said something like, if someone asks you to do something, say yes and then go and learn how to do it. And I feel that's kind of what I've been doing with this, but now with a bit of a support network, I can bounce the next steps off team at TEG with you and Jenny and Keith and so on, and I know you'll help me steer that next bit of journey. But I feel the markets and so on, I hope I'll always be able to do those because I love them. I need to get also then, with the confidence that's giving me, I want the next 12 months to focus a little bit more on that sort of the commission side and the corporate side as well.
So you've heard it here first. If you have bought an animal of you, Kate is your lady. She will help you create a piece of bespoke artwork for your home, holiday home, boat, or other premises. Office, I
love what I do, and I'm very lucky to do it.
So that's brilliant, Kate. What a wonderful story. Every time we meet, I'm inspired by you because I look forward to it, and we always have a really good giggle. How can people find you? If they want to get involved or have something commissioned, where can they find you? Okay,
so my website, that's still a bit of a work in progress, but I'm getting there now, is kwcreatives.co.uk. And I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and it's just at the KW Creatives. Brilliant. And I'd just love to connect with people.
And I can't wait to see where the journey goes and where the work ends up and how it evolves. And I can go, I helped her along the way.
Well, you've been a huge help.
Well, there you have it, folks. That is the end of this episode. And thank you so much, Kate, for coming.
Thank you very much for having
squashing your nerves. Join me next time for our next episode of TEG Talks. Thank you very much. Bye.